Hello? Okay, it's on. Okay, I think we can about start. It's 1:27. Do you mind if I start early? Because I'm early bird. Y'all okay? Okay. Well, my name is Amy Green. I'm a physical therapist. I've been here for 4 years. I'm mainly down in Willowbrook Court. So if you haven't seen me up and around, that's my little dungeon downstairs. So that's my main place to be. So thank you for coming today. Today we're going to, it's Acts Stepping into Freedom in 2024. In the presentation, do you really need a walker, cane, and power wheelchair? So welcome to our fitness rehab presentation about walking and the devices you may choose to use. Using a cane, walker, and power chair might be necessary to maintain an active lifestyle, but these can also lead to decreased strength, imbalance, poor posture, and a host of other problems if not utilized correctly or appropriately. So today we hope to provide the knowledge and the insight you may need to make informed decisions about when, what, and how to make the most of all the assistant devices that are available for walk-in. So today we're going to talk about how canes, walkers, and power chairs can be helpful and how they can be harmful. We also want you to know some of the vital safety information about how these devices should fit and how they should be used properly. We also want to introduce to you guys activator poles. Finally, we want you to know what to do if you have more questions about these walking aids. Sorry, I forgot the clicker. I had it. Okay. Oh. Patience is not my forte. Okay. So canes, walkers, and power chairs have some benefits if the resident uses them that really needs them. They help reduce pain when walking, especially after an injury. Walking devices also provide more stability if balance is a problem, especially on uneven surfaces such as the outdoors. Walking devices may also give us the ability to walk further and go places we might not be able to go because we have pain, we have poor balance, and we have poor endurance. While walking devices can be helpful, they can also be equally harmful. Walking devices take away our internal balance systems. When we become dependent on something for balance, we become unsafe without it. And then we need it at all times. Using devices also takes away the normal work the body should be doing to stay healthy. The heart, the lungs, and muscles need to do less work, which the body requires to maintain working order. This is similar how if you don't use a car for a long period of time, you might have a dead battery. Using walking devices can cause a reduction in much needed physical activity. In many cases, we can't do as much as we did before because we're dependent on that device. For example, some people don't want to go on outings because they don't want to put the walker in the car because it's too heavy to put into a car. It's more difficult for someone to put it in and out of the car. Walking devices, especially if they don't fit correctly, they can cause increased pain and increased stiffness. I'll show you some pictures later on. Finally, using devices can cause us to walk less, which in turn reduces stress on bones that can lead to bone loss called osteoporosis. Okay, so in order for y'all to get a better understanding why devices are harmful, let's look at a video of normal walking without a device. Ain't she cute? So note in this video that her head is up, her back is straight, and she's swinging her arms left and right. I'm going to play it again, okay? But we're going to do the back view. Oh, no, it's just going to play again. Now note that the head is up, she's swinging her arms left and right, and her hips are rotating back and forth. Note there's a slight bend in her elbow, and when the arms swing forward on the right side, the left leg swings forward, and vice versa on the opposite leg. Putting a cane or a walker in the hands take away the normal arm swing, and hip rotation when we don't use devices. Devices also cause poor posture because we tend to lean on them too much. And we'll talk about this a little bit later too. So now we're going to talk about the fit of devices. Okay. John is here. Okay, there we go. If there's a good reason why you need a device to walk safely, it must fit correctly, and you must know how to use it correctly. The wrong fit and the improper use can cause more harm than not using a device. Many devices actually cause falls, and many cause more pain, and many lead to poor posture. So how do you fit a walker? When you're standing up tall and straight with your arms by your side, the walker handle should come to the bend of your wrist, as you can see in this picture. This is usually right at the hip joint for most people. Do you think this walker is too tall or too short? Good. The handles should come to the wrist joint. We need to raise these handles up to the next level. You can see by the walker being too short that the resident is bending forward. Then this can lead to back issues, stiffness, and poor posture. So is this walker too tall or too short? Too tall, yeah. Note how much bend is in her elbows. She cannot correctly control the walker with her arms in that position. Remember from our video, when we walk, our arms are swinging left and right, and the elbows are slightly bent. This lady is going to end up with increased elbow pain and back pain. Is this walker too tall or too short? Yeah, it is about right. This walker is just right. Now that the walker handles are right at her hip joints, her elbows are slightly bent, and she's standing nice and tall with her head upright. So is this walker too tall or too short? You're right, you're right. So many of you might say that it's too short because she's bent over. But however, this walker is just right. The problem is it was not fitted correctly, and how the patient is using it. So hear me out. Raising the walker will not help her stand upright. It will only make her be unable to use the walker correctly because her arms will be too bent. We see ACTS residents every day whose walkers are too tall. They think or they are introduced or intentioned by their families or friends raising the walker will help them stand upright. This is not true. The person needs to focus on using their back muscles and their proper walking pattern of staying in the walker. So this person probably would need some physical therapy to teach how he or she uses the walker correctly. Okay, here's a couple of ladies standing side by side. Both of them have rollators that fit correctly. The lady on the left uses hers incorrectly because she's pushing it too far forward from her body, keeping her back bent and her head is looking down. The lady on the right, she's standing up close to the walker. Her arms are nicely bent, and she's staying up in the walker and her back is upright. People say you have to look down, so I have to trip. So that's why they're looking down and then the walker's far away from them. So looking at the floor causes abnormal posture and increases your likelihood of tripping your feet. So you should always have your head up, scan the environment outside in case you have hazards like on walking out on the curbs or walking out on the thresholds of the concrete. There's thresholds. A lot of the times you have to scan forward to make sure you're not tripping over them. If you're looking down at your feet, you might run into something. Okay. So we often get questions about whether someone should use a four-wheeled walker, also called a rollator, or a standard walker called a front-wheeled rolling walker. Let's discuss the pros and cons of each. The standard two-wheel front-wheel rolling walker looks like this. I usually call it the gray walker. They should always have some type of glides on the back legs, as you can see back there, or you can also, you'll see people have tennis balls, like yellow tennis balls, blue tennis balls, pink tennis balls. They are more stable than a rollator because they have wheels that do not swivel. This stability makes them better for individuals that have a hip fracture or have more difficulty, if you've been in the hospital for long periods of time and getting up for the first time. That would be something that's more stable. The fold, these walkers make it easier to get in and out of cars versus the four-wheeled walkers. The four-wheel walkers don't fold up very compactly. These fold up very compactly, so you can get them into a car a lot easier. The one thing about these walkers, you have to continuously check the skis on the bottom of them because they wear out very quickly. So a lot of times why they wear out is because people walk, you'll see them walking like this, and you bear weight down on them, and the friction between the skis will wear on them. So you have to constantly look at the bottoms of them to make sure they're not wear and tearing. If they're wear and tearing, a lot of the times the walker will veer one direction or the other direction. So these skis are easily replaced. You can get skis from Amazon. You can also get them at the drugstores or Walmart. So they're usually about $5 or $6 that you can replace them. Okay, rollators are much more maneuverable and easier to steer due to the swiveling wheels in the front. They also have a seat in case someone gets tired. Rollators have many hazards, however. They roll so easily that the walker gets away from an individual. We see them roll down a sidewalk when a user is trying to get out of a car and they don't lock the brakes. It's always like a runaway thing. Residents often cannot control them and end up pushing them too far in front of them, like some of the pictures that we looked at earlier. And also that walker may or may not been fit properly. That's why it gets away from them. Rollators are generally not safe for those with severe balance issues as they do not provide enough stability. So we hear many residents say they get walkers because they like to carry things. Some carry meal trays, some carry water, cell phones, remote controls, everything. You see everything. They carry their meals on them. You probably see in the bistro, everyone uses either probably like the rolling cart or the rollator, and you have their meals on it and they're pushing it back and forth to their apartment. Okay, regarding using a walker to carry items, there are two sides to this. On a good side, for those who are really unsafe with a walker, the ability to keep items nearby is very helpful, such as phones for emergencies, your apartment keys, and water. We know that older adults tend not to drink enough water, so having a water bottle on your walker is very beneficial so you're not dehydrated. They also, for the rollators, they do attachments for drinks that you can do. Now they do attachments for cell phones too that you can get, that you can put your cell phone in, versus when you lift up, and depending on what type of rollator that you have, you can have like where you lift up and then you have storage underneath, or you have storage in the front like the Nitro walker that Judy has right there. But they do have attachments that makes it easier so the cell phone is right on the handlebars. On the flip side of why this can be negative, please understand, if you are safe to do so, carrying trays, purses, packages, and other items is good for you. When we carry things, we are using our arms and hand muscles, which is necessary to reduce the strength losses that happens with aging. When we carry things, we also are using our back muscles for stabilization, which is also important for good balance. If you really don't need a walker for pain or balance, you are simply good to carry your purse and other items for short trips. We recommend that you do not get a walker. So when you're using the walker simply for convenience and not out of necessary, you are able to take away your own skills. Okay, fits for canes. So the fit of the cane is similar to a walker. The handle of the cane should come to the wrist when you're standing up tall with your arm down at your side. As you can see, I'm not really sure about that. So in this picture, you can see right here that the cane is too short. You can see him leaning on that. This picture over here, you can see that there's too much bend of the elbow, which means that it's too tall for him. So this one is the correct one. Hold on, not that one, sorry. I clicked too many times. The one in the middle is the correct one. You can see the neutral alignment of the elbow, and it's right at the hip joint. So, is this cane too short or too tall? Too short, yeah. You can see that the cane is below the hip joint. So is this cane too tall or too short?
About right.
Huh?
About right.
About right. It's actually too tall. You can see that the cane, it'll be right here, the hip joint, it should be a little bit lower for the hip joint. So she actually has a wood cane. So wood canes are custom canes. They don't really make wood canes anymore unless someone actually does one for you. I know that he makes canes, but he has a custom cane, and his is actually too short because he's too tall. But, so a lot of the times when you have too tall of a cane, it puts too much stress on your upper body. Okay, so is this cane too short or too tall or just right? Just right, yeah. So you actually might think it's too short because he's leaning over. So actually, he should be standing upright. So if he would stand all the way upright, it's right at the hip joint. So he's just bending over. He could have osteoporosis. He could have some weak back muscles. So this person actually probably needs therapy. To do some core strengthening, to do some back stretching, and strengthening his back muscles up. So is this cane too short, too tall, or just right? So this cane is actually being used correctly. It is just right. It's right at her hip joint. It's right at the wrist line. So she's good to go. You see the little thumb up there? Her back is upright. Okay, so this is a controversial thing, I think, for us PTs and also you guys. So which hand do you use a cane in? Does anybody know?
Opposite of the injury?
Yes, yes, yes. That's usually the cardinal rule. So why are you right? Okay, so as we said earlier, when walking normally, when the right leg steps forward, the left arm swings forward and vice versa. In order to support a weak or painful limb, when the limb steps forward, we need the cane in the opposite hand to provide counter support. This also allows you to maintain a normal walking pattern for stepping and arm swing. But a lot of the times what happens, and I have a patient right now that just had a hip replacement, and she is right hand dominant, and she had a left hip replacement. So she's used to using the cane in her right hand because she's right hand dominant, has been doing it for years and years. So when I shifted the cane to her left side, her walking pattern was awful, awful. So I put it back in the right side to counterbalance what she was doing normally, and her walking pattern was fine. So I think this is a little controversial to me. So usually the cane is on the opposite side of the weak limb, but it doesn't always work. So, okay, so click on this. So looking at this cute little lady here, she should have her head up, looking straight ahead, instead of looking down at the road. She is going to develop neck pain and a humped over posture. Her elbow is bent so much that her forearm is almost parallel to the floor. This is a sure sign that the cane is too tall and it prevents her from walking normally. So she probably would benefit from rehab, both of them, to do proper fit of the cane, but also working on posture, proper sequencing of how to use the cane, and overall just strengthening and working on her balance. Okay. How many people have seen activator poles? Yeah, so that's a new upcoming thing at Lanier Village. So a lot of you have seen people using them. They look like ski poles. However, these are called activator poles, and they're specifically designed to activate your core muscles for better stability and posture. They're designed a little bit differently than ski poles and are especially useful for older adults. These poles are available through a company through our fitness and rehab team that have been working closely together called Urban Poling, which can utilize they can be utilized in a number of different ways. They can provide balance support for those who do need an assistant device to safely ambulate, but they can also be used in exercise classes and home exercise programs for exercise that help improve balance, strength, aerobic conditioning, and even flexibility. They can be used with a little bit different technique for power walking and enhancing core muscles. The benefits of activator poles: it improves posture while walking, more normal gait patterns. It activates your core muscles for increased stability. It helps maintain flexibility and strength needed for longer strides and faster pace. And it allows to keep your eyes and head up while walking. They can be utilized for safe cardiac rehab, strengthening, and balance exercise. And it also says you may look and feel younger and more robust than you're using a cane or a walker. So there are some trade-offs when using the activator poles in place of walkers. They don't provide a seat to carry things, and they're not covered by insurance. They do not stand up alone when you place a walker or cane next to your bed. They have to be placed against something. How to get up with a walker. Does everyone know how to get up with a walker? Okay, we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about how to stand up and sit down with canes, walkers, or even activator poles. We will start with walkers. In this picture, the gentleman has his hands on the walker and is trying to stand up that way. He is probably most likely struggling. Do you think this is the proper way to stand up? No. What is the proper way to stand up? Pushing up through your arms on an armrest, if you can. So if he tries to stand up, he's most likely going to tip, especially that walker, tip it over. He most likely will fall backwards trying to stand up. So he needs a stable surface to stand up. So that's why using the armrest of a chair makes it easier to stand up incorrectly. So do not get up this way. No. Okay. So when standing up with a walker, always push up from the arms of the chair and from the surface that you're sitting on. This is the cardinal rule. It's the safest and most efficient way to stand up. Okay, so sitting down with the walker. So when approaching a chair to sit down, back up all the way to the chair, bringing the walker all the way around you. Always reach back for the arms of the chair or the seat surface and let yourself down carefully. I've seen countless falls because people don't sit down correctly. So they're either tired and they don't get the walker all the way around and backed up to the chair, they want to either leave it here and then walk all the way around to the chair and sit down. So that is a big no, no, no. So you always want to take the walker, you turn it to where the chair is. Let's get a chair. So if I have my walker, I'm coming and I'm turning, and I'm going to make sure I back up, that the back of my calves are right there against the back of the chair. If you have a rollator, you need to make sure you lock the rollator. And then once you lock the rollator, you reach your hand back, your right hand or your left, and then reach back with your other hand and slowly sit down. Slowly. A lot of us plop. And what happens when we plop? It can cause falls. The chair can get out from back from underneath of you, right? Yeah. So you want to easily lower yourself down. It's a little bit harder to lower yourself down, but you're using your muscles to do it. So if you're plopping in the chair, that's a big no-no. You might need some therapy. Okay, so getting up with the cane. So getting up the cane bears the same rules as a walker. In this picture, a gentleman is trying to stand up by pushing up with the cane. You never want to push up with the cane. You're not going to get anywhere. So what you do is you put the cane in your hand and you use it. So if you have the cane right here, it's kind of loose in your hand. You're going to reach back with one hand, and you're going to reach back with the cane in your hand at the same time and sit back down. So if you try to reach back with the cane, it's going to be unsteady. Kind of like if you have the walker and you put one hand in one hand, if you have the cane, it's just going to more likely to fall again. So we definitely don't want you to fall. Okay, who has power chairs and scooters? Yay. Okay, so let's talk about power chairs and scooters. While power chairs and scooters can be helpful to improve someone's independence who no longer can walk or can no longer walk far enough, because this building is crazy big. From one end to the other end, I think it's 3/4 of a mile, or is it 1/2 a mile? Yeah, it is quite the distance. If you're all the way in east on the other end of where the parking lot is and you walk to the bistro, that is a long distance. Huh?
And there's that much more.
And there's that much more the other way. So a lot of people turn to power chairs and scooters because it could be a lot of different reasons, because walking is getting more difficult, the balance is decreased, or a lot of times people have cardiovascular or pulmonary issues, which makes longer distance walking that more difficult. So a lot of people turn to these power chairs and scooters to be able to get to and from the bistro or to and from Mountain View, or even to and from to your cars in the parking lot. So there's also some negative things about power chairs. Not walking takes away the strength, the flexibility, and the balance, and it contributes to bone loss, skin problems, and circulation problems. Not walking contributes to heart and lung problems, and dependence on power chairs and scooters can make it more difficult to go places in a car. So power chairs and scooters should be really considered as a last resort and not for any type of convenience. Because a lot of people here use it for convenience, and it kind of takes away your mobility. So if you think you may need a power chair or scooter, please see us in rehab to help determine if it's the right time for you. I think a lot of people jump the gun with power chairs and scooters before they actually really need it. So you might actually need physical therapy to help with your balance, your endurance, and your strength first. And then we can determine, hey, if you can't walk like 500 feet, you might need a power chair or scooter. But what a lot of people don't realize is power chairs are covered by insurance with the appropriate documentation from the doctor and the therapist together. Scooters are not covered by insurance. So that's a big thing. So a lot of times when people move from IL to assisted living to Willowbrook Court, Assisted living, you can get a power chair in assisted living with the insurance, but once you get to Willowbrook Court, insurance will not pay for a power chair anymore. So it's a different type it's a skilled service, so insurances will not pay for a power chair. So you have to be an IL or an assisted living to have that covered. So, okay, so does anybody have any questions?
Okay, I'm looking at the activation poles,
Yes.
thinking about those.
Yes.
That looks just like my hiking sticks.
Yes.
Is there a difference?
Yes, there's a little bit of a difference.
What would be
The
the difference?
activator poles are adjustable.
So our hiking
So
sticks.
I would
Yeah.
have to look at them. It might just be the brand because they actually make activator poles for rehab. So the hiking poles, it might be something very similar.
They come with the rubber tips you
Mm-hmm.
can put on them, or they've got the part that can stick in the ground
Yeah.
if you're actually hiking
Yeah.
in the woods.
They're
Okay.
very similar.
Okay.
I have that power chair that I am not using.
Uh-huh.
Can you loan it out to somewhere here to people to use it, to learn with it? But if I need it, I can get it back?
That's really a good question. Like, I always need power chairs, like down Willowbrook Court, to teach somebody if they're going to use it back in the assisted living. Maybe that's something we can talk to Sherry, the director, about like loaning it. That's a really good idea, and that would be appreciative.
It would seem that the weight of the battery would be a major factor with power chairs and scooters in order to get it in and out of the car and things like that.
Yeah, so they do make power chairs that are, I'm trying to think who's in one right now, in a portable power chair. I don't know if you've seen his. So his can actually go into a car, into a trunk, because it's lightweight. So a normal power chair, kind of like Larry is sitting in the back right there, there's no way for those to go in a car. You actually have to have lifts on the back of the car or a specialized van so it has a ramp and pulls up and has tie downs in the car itself. So the power chair is a lot different because it has a joystick on the right or left side depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed dominant. A lot of people cannot control a power chair because they feel like they're going to fall out forward, or their joystick, they don't have the fine motor skills to do the power, the stick of the power chair. Whereas the scooter, which one Dwayne is in, it actually has like a steering complex, but they don't. The scooters actually make wide turns, so it's really hard in small spaces to turn left and right into, like, if you needed to turn around. Whereas a power chair, if you turn it correctly, it can make easy 360-degree turns.
Thank you.
I may be speaking out of turn, but when you talk about scooters, we see more and more scooters every day. And a lot of them don't need them.
Yeah, and that's what
And they're not, and you can't get them from insurance either, I don't believe.
No. You see that a lot here, and I feel like it's because a lot of these people live so far from the dining room. I mean, you guys, when you move here, you're used to walking in a house maybe 100 feet, maybe 200 feet. Then you come here and you're walking 1,000 feet. That's a big difference, like for someone that was just homebound, kind of like in their home and walking shorter distances. When you come here, it's such a long distance. They feel tired. They're probably, their endurance is down, their balance is not good, their strength is down. So then they revert to using a scooter because, granted, a lot of us get lazy, right? So that's the easy way out to getting to point A to point B. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of a scooter, only if it's like necessary, like Miss Ruth in the back. I'm going to use you as an example, okay? And a positive example. She has a power chair. Miss Ruth has lung issues. So getting to point A to point B with a walker 500 feet, using a walker, she struggles because of her oxygen going down. So she's a perfect example of someone that is benefiting from a power chair because she's more independent with a power chair. Because now she can participate in activities like this from assisted living, to go to activities in IL, which she loves to do. So she's a positive example of why someone should have a power wheelchair. So, yeah. So it's really dependent on each individual. That's why if you guys do want power chairs or scooters, that's why you need to come talk to Sherry, talk to any of us in rehab to see if you would benefit from one. If it's that time. If it's that time to have an assistant device, like a walker, a cane, please contact us. Like your walker, I want you to stand up with your walker. Yes. So I saw you walking in, and your walker needs to be just 1 inch higher. Yes. Just one thing up higher, because you are walking forward. Yep. So I didn't mean to point you up, but I saw that. But that's, you know, why you guys come to these things, so we can educate you a little bit about it. So you'll see a lot of times with us in the bistro, like we always have our eyes out. Always have our eyes out, and we're like, who is that? We need to like talk to them to see, you know, if someone's unstable or whatnot, or they're walking with a shuffling gait pattern and they're walking without anything. That might be time to have a walker or a cane. So don't be afraid of us in rehab. We do some good things in rehab. It's always beneficial. And you guys, we have a great team here. So I hope that you use us. Does anybody else have any more questions? Yes, sir.
When you use what we call trekking poles, what did you call them?
The activator poles?
Right, you use them normally one at a time or two at a time?
So you use them two at a time. So what they do is mimics the arm swing of left and right in your foot. So if you're stepping with your right foot, the activator pole is going on your left side. It's going the same time as your right foot, and then opposite, like that. No, insurance does not pay for activator poles. I know. And a lot of times insurance is really tricky. So insurance with front wheel rolling walkers like you have, insurance will cover those. But they need justifications from the doctor and a therapist. A rollator like Miss Judy has, usually they'll cover about $50 of it. So, no, they cover up to $100, and then anything else is out of pocket. I can't hear you. Oh. But, so if I always, like, in Willowbrook Court, if someone needs a walker, I always say, it's easier to just purchase one to me. Because the time that you go through justification in the doctor, it's like months later. It's like a long process to get a walker. And it's a long process to get, it takes for like a power chair, time you get an eval, the doctor's justifications, and if everything goes right and the wheelchair guy comes out, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks for that power chair to come. So, anyone else have any other questions? Well, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Sorry I stumbled. I'm not a great public speaker, but thank you for coming.